going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Felipe from Second Earth. We have a momentous episode today. I can't believe it. After 4 years of reporting on the subject of extraterrestrial UFOs, mostly from the direction that these things are of extraterrestrial, meaning they might be actual beings from other planets. Well, it appears that as of yesterday, the Pentagon has officially confirmed the existence of UFOs. And this means that there were a few people who might have gotten this topic incorrect.
In science, even if you have something less controversial than a flying saucer, if you come into my lab and you say, you gotta believe me, I saw it, and you're one of my fellow scientists, I say, go back, go home. Go back until you have some other kind of evidence that's not just, you saw it.
Well, it's nothing like anything I've ever seen.
And you're an Air Force guy.
Yeah, and a pilot. Got a lot of hours flying. So it was pretty breathtaking.
Okay? I get abducted, I'm ready, okay? So you're there, you're like on the slab, because they always do like the sex experiments on you, on the flying saucer. So there you are, and they're poking at you. Here's what you do. You ready? You tell the alien, you'll be alien for this, right? So you're poking me, all right? So then I say,
Finally, I'm on this side of the equation.
okay, so I say, hey, look over there. And then he looks over there, you quickly like snatch something off the shelf. Put it in a pocket and then lay back. All right? Then you're done. You come back. You say, "Look what I got." Okay? I like stole the ashtray off the shelf of the flying saucer.
For those who may have followed this show since the beginning, you may recall that our very second episode was about a man named Christopher Mellon. Now, Christopher Mellon happens to be one of the 4 To the Stars Academy members, and he has worked with the NSA, the NRO, and we reported on him because he was one of the first people to actually be able to oversee all the intelligence agencies as somebody who worked in intelligences, and was essentially saying that, yeah, it seems like there's something very strange about UFOs. He was very open about the subject of extraterrestrials. This was something that was reported by the Huffington Post. So we decided to report on Christopher Mellon because of all the stated above reasons. It just happened that a year later, Christopher Mellon comes out and just happens to be one of the 4 members of To the Stars Academy, at least one of the 4 founding members, which included Luis Elizondo, which was one of the first individuals, the guy who used to work for the Pentagon, who was admitting to the topic of UFOs after the New York Times started publishing this information. So that was kind of cool to see that our very second episode was reporting on individuals that was in the forefront of delivering some of this information. You know, they delivered the quote unquote the Nimmitz Tic-Tac UFO to the New York Times and other national news. Now, people at the time, they weren't sure if this was of extraterrestrial variety. And I think this is a very important question that I kind of want to hit at in this episode, because just because the Pentagon is confirming UFOs does not technically mean they're extraterrestrial. In fact, we've even had episodes where we've shown patents that mimic anti-gravity properties using counter-rotating electromagnetic fields, something that Michio Kaku in his book used to talk about as well. That a future civilization will likely find anti-gravity crafts by using counter-rotating electromagnetic field. I think there's an issue with stability and balance and all that stuff. But putting away all the mumbo jumbo, what I'm really trying to say is there are still questions among certain individuals, certain academics, certain skeptics, whether this is extraterrestrial. If you've been following the show, you know that we have a very strong bias towards believing that, yeah, these are extraterrestrial. Just to give you an example, one reason why we believe it, Luis Elizondo, one of the 4 members of To the Stars Academy, the gentleman who worked at the Pentagon, well, let's look at how he describes these crafts.
So let me just ask you point blank the question. Do you believe that life from somewhere else, while you ran this program, came here, visited, observed?
I will tell you unequivocally that through the observation, scientific methodologies that were applied to look at this phenomena, that these aircraft, we'll call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory, nor in any foreign inventory that we are aware of.
Now, to me, that's pretty eye-opening. Now, you can assume that maybe China has some secret program and has figured out this technology. Nobody has realized this. There's always that far-out chance. But here's the thing. We discovered a document. When I say we discovered, I discovered a document on this channel from the CIA website itself. Now, I've never seen this document published anywhere else. And this document, I think, in a way kind of proves that, yeah, okay, so maybe the UFOs now may not be able to definitively be determined to be extraterrestrial. Well, if it was happening in 1950s and the CIA knew about it, would that not in and of itself be a form of proof that whatever technology we're dealing with has not just been around right now, but has been around for decades and decades and decades? Hence, it's probably not military. So that's kind of the driving point that I wanted to make at. But before we get there, I wanted to go ahead and read this article from The Guardian. It says here, Pentagon releases 3 UFO videos taken by U.S. Navy pilots. The Pentagon on Monday released 3 declassified videos that show U.S. Navy pilots encountering what appears to be unidentified flying objects. The grainy videos, which the Pentagon says depicts unexplained aerial phenomenon, were previously leaked, with some believing they show alien UFOs. The Pentagon said it released the footage to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that had been circulating was real or whether there was more to the videos, a statement on the Department of Defense website said. After a thorough review, the department has determined that the authorized releases of these unclassified videos does not reveal any sensitive capabilities or systems, and does not impinge on any subsequent investigation of military airspace incursions by unidentified aerial phenomena, the statement said. The video has been circulating in the public domain after unauthorized releases in 2007 and 2017, the statement said, adding that the aerial phenomena observed in the videos remains characterized as unidentified. So right there, it's a quick admission that they're not really saying it's definitely military. So when they claim it to be unidentified, and they don't even mention military, it makes me think that if it were military, it's probably a very small percentage. Well, reading further here, it says, the 3 videos show what the pilots saw during training flights in 2004 and 2015. 2 of the videos were published by the New York Times in 2017. The other videos was released by To the Stars Academy. This is the group that we talked about earlier, that Christopher Mellon, who worked for this organization, and it was started up by Blink-182 Tom DeLonge. If you didn't know that, it's kind of funny, but Blink-182. To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science Group, a media and private science organization. The 2004 video shows an incident that happened 100 miles out of the Pacific, according to the New York Times. 2 Navy fighter pilots found an oblong object hovering over the water. It then flew quickly away, accelerated like nothing I've ever seen, one pilot, Commander David Fravor, told the New York Times. David Fravor was the one who was really public about his interviewing and his experience of what was then termed the Nimmitz Tic-Tac UFO. Although we had officials like Luis Elizondo, who used to work for the Pentagon, but was no longer working, thus he felt it was okay to talk about it. So I guess as of now, what's happening is they're confirming the actual official Pentagon, the ones that are actually technically working, are now confirming that these UFOs are not just some kind of pranks, it's not some kind of joke, it's something to be taken serious. Now, they claimed it was quote unquote unidentified, but I'm going to show you why I'm pretty certain it is extraterrestrial. Just to finish up the article, the release of the video by the Pentagon adds to the legitimacy of the video and will spur more speculation that humans have recently interacted with extraterrestrials. The Navy has guidelines for reporting UFO sightings. In response, the former Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid from Nevada tweeted the 3 videos only scratches the surface of research and material available. Now, this is a very important quote because you got to think about if the US has an advantage over China in almost everything except for possibly the implementation of artificial intelligence. Yeah, I think in terms of research and development, we're ahead a little bit, but in terms of actually being able to implement it, we're a little bit behind. But if we're ahead in almost every other technological endeavor, why would Senator Harry Reid claim that this only scratches the surface of research and materials available? If we have most of the technologies, if we're ahead in most of the technologies, we wouldn't just be scratching the surface if this were another military, let's say it was a Chinese anti-gravity craft that we never heard of. Well, unless it was a completely novel technology and they were somehow magically ahead in ways that we're not being told right now. It just seems like this comment is indicating not of a military nature, but perhaps something that is not of this planet. So here's the deal. I know that there's a lot of skeptics, and we showed a few videos earlier of individuals who just think that this is a joke, that the idea of extraterrestrial presence is a joke. And I don't know why some of these people are so hard-headed in their perception or their beliefs about anything that is extraordinary definitely cannot be extraterrestrial, because we sure have a lot of extraordinary things on this planet that are not explained. We have rocks that are just littered around this planet, some of them weighing 1,000 tons. Hardly anybody really understands the technologies that were used to move and lift these rocks, these stones, I should say. There are pyramids. Pyramids not just in Egypt, but all around the world, some of them in China. Why is it that we have pyramids everywhere, but to this day, not a single person has been able to create an explanation that is agreeable by most scientific consensus? We're talking about the biggest sculptures ever built around the world, littered all around the world, and nobody knows what it does. And then we have drawings, petroglyphs. We have concepts in old religions, like the ant people of the Hopi Indians, which, if you look at the linguistic aspect of that, ant is Anu, friend in Hopi language is Naki. So we've gone over this before on this channel, but just wanted to reveal this to anybody who doesn't know. The word ant friend literally translates to Anunnaki, which is the exact same term that the Sumerians give for the ones who descended from the heavens below to earth. So if you actually understand our history, and if you look at all the knowledge and all the things that are happening in a broader basis and not such a PhD telescope type way, I think the idea that this is extraterrestrial is kind of obvious. Now, I understand there's some things that can make this argument difficult, and a lot of people, when they want to make this extraordinary claim, as Carl Sagan used to say, they want the extraordinary evidence. Well, I'm just going to say the evidence shouldn't be biased from the beginning, but just keeping that aside, I will show you the extraordinary evidence right now of probably why these are extraterrestrial. Now, a while ago, I made an episode, for those who've been following the channel, on a particular document from the CIA that I discovered from the actual CIA website. I believe it was declassified because it had been over 50 years. And upon reading this document, I was a little bit shocked, because what we had here was the Air Force essentially relating with the CIA, trying to get information so that they can write the Condom Report, which was the scientific investigation of UFOs done by the Air Force. And they're trying to find out what happened in 1952 when there was a mass sighting over the White House. You might have heard about this. There was something that was created in 1953 called the Robertson's Panel, which was supposed to be a scientific panel to study what the hell was flying over our Capitol. Well, that particular panel, according to this document, was literally sponsored by the Central Intelligence Agency. So the recommendation of that panel was not really a scientific recommendation. It was an intelligence's recommendation, one set up by intelligence group that wanted to disseminate their information, not the actual information that could be incurred by a proper scientific investigation. So let's put it this way. If this document indeed proves that the 1953 Robertson's panel was sponsored by the CIA, then that means all of the inquiries regarding UFOs, including the scientific report that was done in 1968, the Condon report by the Air Force, that all those inquiries have been staged, that there was never a scientific investigation, and thus there is reasons to believe that whatever it is that they're studying, these intelligences were trying to keep secret, was not of a military nature, but of an extraterrestrial nature. Because while the Chinese might have some hidden anti-gravity technology that's being witnessed by these crafts, what I can guarantee you is that they didn't have that in 1950s, in the 60s when these documents started coming out. So there you have it. For all those skeptics who have been doubting the existence of extraterrestrial, I know the Pentagon, it may not tell you that they exist, but we've been telling you for a while on this channel that these things are real. I'm trying to give you the proof right now that these things are real. What an interesting planet we live in. What an interesting planet we live in. I just feel like there's so much more to learn, and hopefully, I don't know what's gonna happen with this pandemic. Hopefully things won't crumble like you see in some kind of Armageddon type film. Hopefully we can manage whatever is happening, though I see a lot of authoritarianism happening right now all around the world. Our constitution is being trampled. So it's also strange that while this pandemic is happening, it's just now that this information is being verified by the top sources, the top intelligence sources. Please leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think this all means? Thanks for following me. This is Felipe Osorio, signing out.